the brat, self-sabotage, and moving the blocks out of the way to clear the path. You can tell by the construction sounds over there, they're moving some stuff out of the way. So this transmission wants to come through, so bear with me. Basically, again, from personal experience, the brat has been playing up big time for me as I'm moving forward along the path and am essentially creating all the reasons why something's not going to work. And so, for example, within moving into the next phase of my business offerings, soul-led offerings essentially, and then having to make that into a business, whole thing in itself. But I found myself creating blocks so that I was subconsciously repelling people from my offering. Those blocks included not setting up particular things in the system, not filming the certain video that I had to film, not writing the emails I had to write. And so another layer of that is not doing as much of the altar work as I could be, right? To honor my business and the spirit that is my business. So there are many different layers to this, and the brat has come through as some sort of protective defense mechanism, rebelling against a sense of authority or control, and that control being my own self, that authority being my own self, that authority being other people who are going to receive my work. Doesn't really make rational sense. So my invitation to you as the outside world is clearing through blocks, and you are still here, so good job. Where are you actually creating the blocks? So the different perspective of this, I've spoken about blocks before. What I'm speaking to here is literally the ones that you actually feel yourself creating and believing and feeding. The bigger blocks, maybe they've been there for a while and you can still ask yourself when they happened, but I'm speaking to more like right here, right now. If there's a particular thing you want to do, a particular project you want to work on, if you know that you're being called to express yourself through art in a playful way, even if you don't call yourself an artist, but you know that at some level this is enabling you to move energy to process your reality, which will help you access your true nature. Where are you creating the blocks? Have you literally just not set up a space for your creativity? Have you literally just filled all the time in the day by believing that there's no time in the day? And so then you find yourself wasting time because you didn't factor in the time to show up for your creativity. So that time that you said didn't exist, it is now being filled with scrolling through social media when you actually could have just scheduled in an hour to draw. You have time. The universe will work with you when you decide you have time. It's a choice. It's really can be hard to grasp fully, but even if you're working full job, 9 to 5, there is still time to create if you decide. Because when you create the space, when you create the time to create, that becomes an anchor and things can move around that. Okay, so if you decide, all right, Fridays for 2 hours I sit down and I draw, then what would otherwise be filled with scrolling through social media, watching a movie, grabbing a drink or whatever, it's going to be, that stuff will work around the anchor point that is your decision to create. So this is an example. To bring it back to what I'm speaking about here with self-sabotage is that that's going to be good for you. I know that I need to film this particular video to set up the system within my course. And yet I don't do that out of fear of rejection, of failure. And so I literally do the thing that means that I'm subconsciously blocking people entering into the space. And so I've protected myself from a potential failure of no one being interested, by literally stopping any kind of any flow of energy to that potential timeline happening. Does that make sense? It's literally like I'm in my own way. The destination is there, the path is right in front of me, and I'm just like throwing a bunch of things to clean out of the path on the path. So if I walk down the path, I have to clean them. So what is protecting me is actually taking away from my ability to do what I truly want to do. Very tricky, very, very tricky. The moral of this and your aligned action is to, as best as you can, get clear on what are self-sabotage blocks that you're creating to stop you from doing the thing that is going to connect you to your true nature. An example is write down 5 blocks that you've created in the way of you showing up for time to create. If we want to keep it simple, what have you created in your mind that is a reason why that can't happen? And maybe it starts off like, oh, I don't have time, but get real clear, like, why don't you have time? What's the real reason? Why don't you have the space? Well, I'm not creating the space because I don't actually value what I create. So like, you can write down the initial thing, and then already just by doing that, it will become more clear what an even deeper layer of that block is about. As soon as you can identify what's in your way, the sooner you will be able to work with what's real and what's alive for you. The sooner you'll be able to release the blocks. The sooner you'll be able to meet the self-sabotage, the brat, the rebel in the eyes and be like, this is not working. Can you not? Let me reassign you, or leave and I will hire someone else. With love, of course, with love and forgiveness. So do that aligned action. Let me know how you go below. Friendly reminder that we cover all of this in Path of Heart. That, the 5 elements, the 5 pillars of co-creation, your actions, feelings, thoughts, beliefs, a myriad of tools, practices, meditations, all the things. So that link is below. And in the meantime, stay creative, stay driven, stay real. Big love.